Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi here on Element Gaming. Playing a new game, Destiny 2. There's my dogs that are about to be squirted. Squirt for you and a squirt for you. That's Roxy is the higher pitched dog and Caesar is the lower bass dog. So I think I mentioned everyone I was going to play World of Warcraft with my sons. That just petered out. So I was still looking for another game to do. One of the things about WoW is really the end game content, doing raids and that kind of stuff is interesting. It's akin to the legendaries on the Division 2. Problem is you got to be geared up to do that. And so the game, till you get to the highest level and then you get decent gear, is just really getting you decent geared and letting you learn how to play your class. The other thing, why you probably, if you're playing a game like that, why you don't, unless you get into a guild or a clan that's really going to help you, there's some maximum toxicity in games like that, because if you come to a raid and you don't have your potion, your food, and all this other stuff, the people get pretty salty. So, in my experience. So, I look for another game. I like loot-based shooters. I like a little bit of the role RPG, the role-playing game, where you can level up your character and you have some way where you can shape the uniqueness of your character. That's one of the main appeals about the Division. If you look at the main videos on the Division 2 that people watch, they're build videos because they want to diversify. I would dare say if you just stripped everyone of all the gear, the game would be pretty much the same. You would find a way to still win. I've done videos where you can do control points and purples, and it's just a slightly slower. So if everyone had the same gear, it'd be slightly slower. And then a game like Division would really come down to who can aim best, who goes in cover, and who has the best tactics. Because I will have videos over on that other channel where there's just video after video where people have builds, but they just don't know how to play their builds. And so they fail. And again, the people that I follow, people like Ultimate Shield 340, there's Sloth Moods, there's Super Slanky Lanky as a commenter, and Rich 85. I think those people would all tell you that, the game, you should just play it however you want, because that's going to make you the happiest. And I would agree with them. And so getting back to this game, Destiny 2, the combat is very smooth and polished. You have a variety of weapons. There's all the same kind of strategy and everything else that you get in Division. The main difference is one's a sci-fi shooter and one's kind of based on a futuristic, realistic. There are some sci-fi elements, but it's more what you see in the real world. And so I have to admit, sometimes the first Division story was great. Man, what a foreshadowing of what was going to happen to us as a world. But so that it's a good game, but the loot system, the tons and tons of loot that's useless is ridiculous, right? And there's not a really good way to maximize your gear. And so there's mechanics. Caesar, I will squirt you. What's going to happen in the Division 2 is you end up just burning inventory management. And that's part of the game. Maybe that's fun sometimes, and I can imagine it is. But I just got to level 21 in my, raising the expertise level. And that was just an incredibly long grind. And I can't even imagine what it's going to cost, maybe 10 or 12 exotics to move 1 point for 1 percentage point. So it's okay. People have to build this. If you're a developer, you have to build that into the game. And you have to build that content, because what are your end game players going to do? That's something that all these games, if you think about games that fail, there was another loot-based shooter, I forget what the name of it, but it didn't really have good end game and it just died. And it had a vibrant community. I don't even remember the game. I never even played it because I was like, man, I played the Division and then I'm going to play Destiny. I'm not going to play the number 3 one in it, and it just died. So Destiny 2 has nice combat. The different sci-fi shooters. So I can use a kinetic gun that's in my slot 1. I can use a status effect or energy gun that's in slot 2. A heavy weapon in slot 3. I get loot that way. I can pick up green loot, green little boxes for my secondary weapon, purple boxes for my heavy weapon. I might have some class skills that recharge over time. And as you go, when I played it before, you have all the customization on your armor. You can mod it. You can make your character exactly how you want. So that part is the same. Just you're in a different universe. But the gameplay is very fluid. You have vehicles, you can fly, you can get motorbikes, you can get cars, you can have combat from vehicles. So it has all those things that are great in a game. So what you're going to see now here, I'm in the beginner section, but there's kind of like a public event that keeps spawning. So you can go out here. I stay here for a little bit, and I think I'm going to, there's like a big tank thing that's over this next hill that I'm going to fight. So getting back to games, it's a game that's similar to Division2, but it's different enough that, and I like it. And it's Bungie is a company. They most famously made the Halo series. When this Destiny game came out, I really liked it. The Destiny 2, I really, I was, pre-bought it and did all that stuff. I really liked it. I like the idea. The story is, we're sitting here on Earth, and there's a thing called the Traveler. It's a sentient, very godlike kind of thing that gives us all kinds of powers as a humanity, but then it's made enemies across the universe, and now they've come to Earth. And so I'm in Russia now. And so that one of the things about Destiny 2 is that it has, I like the maps are a lot of variety. The game, it's not a cover-based shooter. You can crouch, but there's no cover systems. I mean, you can use things for cover by breaking the line of sight, but that's just it.
Cass, Maeve, if you're hearing this, rendezvous at the following coordinates.
Something's interfering. I don't think he heard us, but I've got a lock on his location.
And so some things are similar, some things are different. Obviously, the era that you're in is different. Some of the weapons, this is the big boss thing I'm trying to fight. And I don't know, if you pause it, you're going to see that there's people like level 100 and level 1,000 or whatever. There's just all kinds of people here. So it's a nice change of pace. They like the Division. They keep developing the game. They keep adding. It has an expansion. I'm not going to buy that yet. I'm going to get back in game, see if I like to do that. But I probably will stay on here. I saw some old friends of mine playing Ghost Recon Wildlands. That was a absolutely fantastic game. I'd love to do that, but that is an older game. And I don't want to be so new that I play Hogwarts Academy because my kids watched Harry Potter. I have nothing against Harry Potter, but it's not for me. But it's a new game, and I said, well, what if this is one of those things when you're trying to do this for not a living, but you're trying to do this as a hobby. Am I really going to do Harry Potter? No, I'm not. but it'd be popular. There's a game made by Amazon called New World. I played that for a while, but it was just broken. A lot of new games come out and they're just broken. I think I've mentioned this to you before. Game designers have a way they'd like you to play the game, and as soon as the masses of people start playing it, they exploit it. They find ways to do things that developers never planned, like walk backward off there. The spawning system's pretty good. You just respawn in the general area. Sometimes I don't know exactly what it is. So part of it is, I'm sure you could watch better videos about how Destiny plays, but if you watch any of the videos on Division 2 and you're looking for something similar and you watch some of my videos, you're going to get that level of continuity about the things we talk about. And I screwed up this recording, so I'm re-recording this. I've had a rash of miscues lately when I'm recording things. But one of the things I talked about previously that you guys didn't get to hear was, what is there left to do in the Division 2? There's like Legendary. Some people made some good points. And if you look at the videos that are popular about Division, they're all build videos because it's a different way. You're doing variations on a theme. You're playing the same content that you know, but you're trying it from a different angle, which is fantastic. It's comfortable. It's in everyone's wheelhouse. But what I've come to realize doing this and running legendaries over and over and over again, because one, it's the content that is slightly challenging. Ran heroics like yesterday in between recording on here, and our group just rolled through there like it was nothing. In that mode, I don't know, we just crushed everything, and I was using my Vile Jammer, so everything's always dying, right? And it's the only way I could really keep up. We were moving through there really fast. So we did all the control points from the White House in that line heading west, and it was just easy and fun. And really, I went out there to, someone had a question, does Vile Jammer proc Creeping Death? So I wrote back a response to the person. I went and tested it, and I was trying to test it by myself, but someone that's a friend that requested to be a friend jumped in, and then we just started doing control points. I said, hey, do you want to do a legendary? They were like, no. I typed it. And then we just did control points. And because he had connection issues, server issues, which I'm tired of. But I kept getting mixed results, so I don't know if I was blowing things up. So I don't think it procs Creeping Death, but I have gameplay footage where I'm not using my Scorpio and it's proccing Creeping Death. So I don't think it does, but I still don't know. I got to look at the video. So getting back to legendary play and that kind of stuff, what I realize is the gear doesn't matter. I have a video where I do a control point, heroic control point, the same one, and I do it with purples, mainly purples. I have an exotic. I use Vile and all purples and Scorpio with all purples, and I'm a little bit slower than the yellow build. I ran in a legendary where someone had Eclipse Protocol and a mask, and I just have a better build than that person. So, I mean, people ask sometimes, can I use Eclipse Protocol? It was my go-to set for the longest time. It just doesn't have the yellow sets are fantastic because you can do a bunch of stuff with them. The green sets that have stacking attributes, the reason that they're like the meta, because that is a thing that is undeniably, and if you can stack like 100% damage on something because you just keep hitting it with a fast gun, that's the set you should play if you want to do that kind of damage. It's like if you want to do 95% of the content, you can solo some legendary. So 95% of the content you can do with a Vile Jammer. And I would say if I was honest with myself, you could do 95% of the content with any build that you put in there. That's a plus of the game, and that's the minus of the game, because ultimately it comes down to whether people can play the game or not. So I have some upcoming videos where and you learn more from failures. I can tell you all the good stuff and show you. I looked at someone had a build similar to what I use, but they use Regulus in my tank build. And they're like, you can solo content with this. The problem with some of the people that do videos, this is no shade on anyone, but I don't see your entire gameplay. So if I clip just my highlights, I can make my build look like it's the greatest build of all time. And there's no real point in that. I can't get Regulus. If I had Regulus, yes, I'd probably use Regulus and say, you know, this is the best build. So part of the thing when you're making build videos is you gotta, ooh, look at me, I'm a Void Walker. Part of the thing you have to do in this stuff is you gotta make builds that people can attain the gear. You know, because what happens, what I found in all these games is WoW included, and Final Fantasy 14, and Elder Scrolls Online, and Azran's Call, and blah, 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 is that when you get that piece that you've pined for so long and you've worked so hard, it's anticlimactic. It's not as great as you imagine it to be. And that's kind of a life lesson, I would just say. But anyways, doing the Division 2 videos, going to start on these Destiny videos. This channel has a very small but loyal following. I appreciate all 6 of you here on the eve of the Super Bowl 2023. So thank you all for being on here. I don't know how many people are going to see this video, but it doesn't really matter. I'm making the videos for myself and for the people that, you know, want to see those kind of things. So should you do Destiny? It's free to play for part of it, so it's easy to get into. 100 megabytes, 100 gigabytes. That's kind of a little bit. I'm stuck in a situation now where I got like a terabyte drive. It's not big enough. I split it into 3. Try to have a C drive that's like, I don't know, 100 gig to 150 gig that I only try to store the operating system on. And then I have 2 other drives, but those are just full of games. You know, games now are like 100 gigabytes of storage. And making these videos routinely, 25 to 30 gigs every day. And that's a process, moving that stuff back and forth. What I would say, I recommend an iPad Pro to do your videos with LumaFusion. It's great. Kind of threw some shade on some Android. I made a video the other day at work with my Android phone that I have, and it seemed to go pretty fast. So I might go back and try to do some videos on my Android tablet and go there. But I think that the idea of getting a tablet with LumaFusion is great, because the LumaFusion's like 20, 30 bucks, and the tablet's whatever, and then you have a whole kind of studio thing. I will say this about Android tablets, Samsung tablets in particular, that are better than Apple tablets, is they have a desktop mode called Dex that's absolutely fire. You don't need another computer. With that, you're fine. Now, the only thing is the speed. So if I could have the Android operating system with the M2 chip, I'd be in love, but Apple's never going to do that. So, well, that's what this channel is about. I don't want to just necessarily stay on the gameplay and the strategy and that stuff. That's kind of over there. So if you like kind of more eclectic kind of things, that's what I'm going to try to do over here. I appreciate, again, like I said, all 6 of you, and I will see you on both channels.